Hey all book fans, thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to make this a conversational update and a weekly update kind of letting you know what's been going on in my life, what's been going on in my reading life, and my music life. And yeah, I would love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's a new channel, so definitely helps the channel out, and really want to make this a conversational thing where we can discuss the books we love so much. And so if you have any book recommendations that I should be checking out in the next couple weeks, please let me know, because I'm planning on reading some shorter ones after these behemoths that I've been tackling. In March, I read Shogun, and then I've been reading some chunky books right after that, so which I'm about to get into. So I could use a couple of smaller books to break things up a little bit. So without further ado, this week I got about 40% of the way through Disquiet Gods by Christopher Rocchio. Now this is book 6 of the Suneater series. I don't know if you all have checked it out yet, but if you haven't, you absolutely must. Probably one of the most underrated sci-fi series of all time. Think of some of the greatest sci-fi authors like Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, right? I think he's going to be right up there with them in the next 10 years. And that's no hyperbole or exaggeration. So this is all spoiler free, by the way. I want to make sure that for the people who haven't read the series yet, that you get a chance to check it out. But in the first 5 books, there's a lot of character arcs that feel like it's part of a continuous story. A couple of characters exit the page at the end of book 5. So, you kind of start to feel like, book 6, this late in the game, he's already had so many high moments in the series. How could he possibly top it? Well, he somehow does it. I mean, I'm only 40% of the way through this book, but if the book continues in this trajectory, it will be up there with my favorites. It might be my favorite. And I'll probably do, I'm thinking of doing this maybe either after the 6th book or after the 7th one comes out next year. I want to do a Christopher Rocchio ranking list of all 7 books and maybe the short story collections or something. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. This book raises the stakes so much more. The lore is so much more deeply explored. It introduces new characters that you immediately fall in love with. And the ones that exit the page, you can remember them fondly. But the new characters kind of really fill that void that you feel in your heart at the start of book 6. So I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Disquiet Gods. For those of you who want a quick one-line synopsis of what the series is about. Imagine an Anakin Skywalker type character becoming Darth Vader, and yet that being the right decision for the good of mankind. So that's really the kind of hook of the series. And on page 1, the first paragraph, you find out about this guy, Hadrian Marlowe, who's like kind of a pariah type controversial character who blows up a planet and kills this entire alien race, and how he got there. And this book really kind of elevates the stakes and kind of brings it forward towards that inevitable conclusion. But the way he's getting there is just absolutely god tier writing. And, for those Rothfuss fans out there who are, kind of pissed that he's not finishing a series, and you want something where the prose is very poetic and profound, and you could chew, on every line in the book, then Christopher Rocchio is your guy. So definitely check it out. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. The next book I think I mentioned in the last weekly update, I had read Brian Lee Durfee's The Forgetting Moon, and I absolutely adored it. So immediately I picked it up, The Blackest Heart, which is even a bigger book. I mean, look at this thing. It's massive. It's massive. But it is another fantastic read so far. Kind of picks up right where the first one left off. About maybe 100 pages into it so far. Yeah, a little over 100 pages into it. And this is how far I am into it. So you get an idea of how big this book is. But again, fleshing out the world and the characters, the 5 Warrior Angel trilogy, and kind of his meditation on religion and how there can be different religious sects, and they all believe they're saying the right things or they're doing the right things. And they're doing it in the name of their God or their religion. So who's the right one? And who's being manipulated in the process. Fascinating book, fascinating trilogy. If you want to check out some really good epic high fantasy with a lot of lore and deep character work, this is the one. Brian Lee Durfee's the guy. And check out his YouTube channel as well. I'm going to leave it in the description because I want everyone to know about the majesty of these books and about the wonderful, wonderful soul that is Brian Lee Durfee. So, The Blackest Heart, book 2, check it out. Now, the third book that I got about almost 60% of the way through. Now, I haven't gotten very far in this since the last weekly update. I think at the last one, I was just shy of 50%. So I only got a little bit further in this one, but not for lack of characters, not for lack of a good story. The characters are fantastic. The town that this story takes place in is very believable, and it kind of posits the question of, if something were to happen to a town that cut it off from the rest of the world, how quickly could a town devolve into, people to devolve into their own baser instincts? And that book is Stephen King's Under the Dome. I wasn't kidding about chunky books, right? Like, look at this, over 1,000 pages yet again. So I've only gotten about 10% further in this, but I'm absolutely loving it. And I plan on finishing this and Disquiet Gods this week. So what am I going to read next week? So I already mentioned Disquiet Gods by Christopher Rocchio, Under the Dome by Stephen King. And if I have time, this is kind of digging into my May plans as well, and I'm going to have a separate May video as well, so I'll keep you posted on that when that comes out in a few days. But I'm kind of thinking between 3 books, and I would actually love your advice, because I'm not quite sure which one to do. So just a little quick aside so you kind of have a context of what I'm looking at. I have a production company with a couple friends of mine. I've worked on several films with these fine folks, and we've gotten along really well. I've worked as a composer. And so we were like, why don't we form a company and get to tell more stories? And in that comes also looking for books that could be possibly adapted for film or television, and things that we could actually take on to adapt and I could eventually score. So it's been really fun kind of looking at the other side of production, kind of how to get those things developed. So I'm looking at a few books and things like that. And these are 3 books that I was kind of looking at. I would love to know if you think of anything that is, not too expensive to make, not like an epic fantasy. I think that might be a little bit above our pay grade at the moment, but kind of looking at something in the horror thriller space or romance drama. So these are 3 of the books that I'm kind of looking at. I don't know very much about them, and I some of the authors are brand new to me. So here is My Darkest Prayer by S.A. Cosby. This is my library receipt here. So I'm going to read the back of this one for you, just so you kind of get some context for the people who don't know anything about this book. But whether it's working at his cousin's funeral home or tossing around the local riffraff at his favorite bar, Nathan Waymaker is a man who knows how to handle the bodies. A former Marine and sheriff's deputy, Nathan has built a reputation in his small southern town as a man who can help when no one else can. When a beloved local minister is found dead, his parishioners ask Nathan to investigate, but things get complicated, and Nathan must use all his varied skills to navigate the murky waters of small-town corruption, even as dark secrets of his own threaten to come to the surface. And with that, S.A. Cosby's My Darkest Prayer. Let me know what you think. I don't know if you all have read this or if you'd recommend it, but one that I'm kind of considering looking into a little bit more. The other one, I think I mentioned in the last weekly update that I'd read an Adam Neville book called The House of Small Shadows. Now, I wanted to pick up something else of his, and I'd heard really good things about this particular one, and that a lot of people think it's among his best, if not his best. So that one is Last Days by Adam Neville. And I was going to read the back, but the library thing is covering the back of the book. But it seems like it is about a documentarian. So it says Kyle's brief is to explore, I'm skipping the part where I can't read it, but Kyle's brief is to explore the paranormal myths surrounding an organization that becomes a testament to paranoia, murderous rage, and occult rituals. The shoot's locations take him to the cult's first temple in London, an abandoned farm in France, and a derelict copper mine in the Arizonan desert, where the Temple of the Last Days meets its bloody end. But when he interviews those involved in the case, those who haven't broken silence in decades, a series of uncanny events plagued the shoots. Troubled out-of-body experiences, nocturnal visitations, the sudden demise of their interviewees, and the discovery of ghastly artifacts make Kyle question what exactly it is the cult has awoken, as well as its interest in him. Really intriguing stuff. Anything about cults I'm interested in reading about. It's just fascinating stuff, how people can be manipulated to do some pretty awful things. So Last Days, Adam Neville, second book of his I'll be reading, but I'm just not sure where to put it on my TBR. So you let me know if you think, this should be higher or lower. And the last one is a little bit off the beaten path. So I don't know if you all have heard of Bridges of Madison County. So this is kind of like I believe it's a sequel. Let me know if it's wrong, but it's at least by the same author, Robert James Waller. And it's called High Plains Tango. So it says here, Robert James Waller returns with the haunting, evocative story of a small town, a beautiful and mysterious woman, and the man forever changed by both. Now, the inside flap has a way longer description, but it's quite long. So at the risk of boring you, this is another book that I'm kind of looking into, and I would love to know what your thoughts are. If you've read this, if you read Bridges of Madison County, what your thoughts were about that. So just kind of wanted to see, get some advice from you all. Because again, I want to make this a channel conversational. And I want to make this something where, we can all chime in on our thoughts on books. And I would like to read stuff that you're actually interested in hearing me review or that you really think that I should check out. So, and finally, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what the week was like. So my week was actually busy doing some pitches for a couple different film and television projects, which I'm going to be able to talk about a little bit later. And also getting ready for the soundtrack release for Dead Whisper, which is a psychological horror film I worked on late last year that is finally going to be released by Vertical Entertainment in July. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be in a limited theatrical release around the country, and then it's also going to be on VOD. So I'll keep you all posted when that comes out and when the soundtrack comes out. So I'm kind of trying to figure out, the basics of what best to do there. And, and then I've been kind of project scouting to look at what more things could be adapted. So it's been kind of an eclectic week from a compositional standpoint and an entertainment business standpoint. But, we're still waiting for the industry to get back up and running. And in the time, that I have, I've been trying to use it to write more material, write music, looking ahead to the future and kind of the rest of the year and seeing what projects could be possible adaptations. So yeah, just wanted to give you a quick weekly update. Please like and subscribe again if you haven't. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I want to make this a channel for all of us, so let me know what you think I can do better. I want to get better at making these videos and providing content and value for you all. So that's it from me. Hope you have a wonderful week. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, stay healthy and happy, and I'll see you soon. Take care.